Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Witching Hour. I am Patti Negri, and the Witching Hour, the time when the veil is thin and magic happens. I have some new magic for us today. I'm getting to know him myself. I have paranormal investigator Bill Slevin. He's been around a long time. He is the founder and lead paranormal investigator of the Paranormal Existence Research Society, PERS, based out of Coral Springs, Florida, with teams in Florida, Nebraska, UK, Italy, and Greece. So they're pretty international. He's an empath and has always been fascinated by the paranormal since he was a kid, dealing with his own experiences, which we will talk about. He's got 30 plus years in the paranormal field. You've seen him on television, you've seen him on Travel Channel and Discovery Plus, recently in a show called Devil's Academy, I do believe, a shock doc. You've just were on in a magazine, American Paranormal Magazine. So we all need to know him. Welcome, Bill. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is great. So yeah, I am surprised we haven't met yet in this same world. And I know you do a lot of speaking and a lot of working. So what got you into this field? I mean, this odd field that we are all in.
Well, when I was young, I had like a lot of people. I've had my own little experiences. I was always into horror, paranormal, even though it wasn't as out in the open as it is now. When I was young, it was harder to get into a little bit, so I tried to study a lot on it. And like everything I found and everything I experienced made me kind of want to know more about it and what was real, what wasn't real, why was I experiencing this, and it kind of helped me kind of study more and try to learn as much as I possibly could.
That's beautiful because you are actually going to school now, right? For going for your PhD in parapsychology, paranormal science, and metaphysical humanistic specialist and demonology specialist. So what about
Yeah.
so that's a mouthful. That's way too much for my little mouth. So how did you get into the demonology? What is the interest there? Is it because you horror went into that, or do you have experience yourself?
Kind of. I've been studying demonology for about 25 years. I've been pulled into a lot of demonic cases or possible demonic cases. It started all honestly from my first actual residential investigation that turned out to be a demonic case, which
Wow.
is rare, but it just happened to be. I was helping people on a case, and it turned out to be a demonic case, which probably most people would have run and never turn and come back to this type of field. But it made me more interested in it to learn about it. Most of the stuff that I experienced on that case, I didn't know until I started studying demonology later on that that's what the telltale signs were and some of the things that were going on. I had no idea at the time, but it just made me kind of more interested.
So, what are some of the telltale signs? Again, I have a lot of new investigators and new into the spirituality world, the paranormal world, and stuff. So, what is somebody? Okay, we have because I know there's a lot of just cranky ghosts out there that want you to
Oh,
think
yes.
they're demons, but not necessarily, in my experience, anyway. So, what are some of the telltale signs to you of somebody like, oh, this really might be demonic?
Well, the main things are definitely the aversion to religious objects. So when we go in and, the first stage of demonic is the infestation, which is kind of like a regular haunting. So things are going to knock, they're going to make noise. So it can be confusing at first, but it's more once it starts progressing, the attacks. Most spiritual, just regular ghosts and spirit, they don't really attack much. I mean, like you said, there are cranky ones, and they can do a little bit of damage, but not to this level. So you have that, you have them oppressing the person, breaking them down, making them, you'll see a lot of changes in them. They'll seclude themselves, they'll get very angry very fast. And then the aversion to religious stuff. I mean, that is, if you pull out a cross or you pull out holy water, or you do anything in the home, and you will see a real aversion to it. They will jump back. They will get angry. There's a lot of things. That's the main signs, from for telling the difference.
So, if that is the person who's being affected or possessed by the dark spirit as well as the spirit itself. So
Yes.
the people are now. What
Yeah.
about religious thought? You're showing a cross and showing holy water, which is going to the Christian, Catholic
Right.
Christian. What if you showed them something Jewish or Buddhist or pagan? Do they have the same aversion?
Yeah, I believe so. Now, I was raised Catholic, so most of the demonology I studied is a Catholic demonology, but I have studied a lot others. They do have an aversion. It's kind of your faith. I mean, everybody goes on the Catholic faith because of demonology. A lot of it is God and Satan and the fallen angels and the whole thing. So they do kind of react a little more to that. But I know people who have worked with just a Jewish faith, and they went in and they did the same thing, and they had the same reaction. Even though in the Jewish faith, it's a little different as far as demons. They don't fully believe in demons. They have jinns, and so it's a little different. But yeah, all religious stuff will work.
See, that's what because again, it's higher vibration stuff versus the lower vibration stuff,
Yes,
whatever title you put on it. So, and speaking of that, you also work with the Warren Legacy Foundation, right? Which I
yes,
know is Catholic based, or was, or they were
yeah.
within.
Well, they'll work with every religion possible. We have, I think it's around 100 or so people now across the country or across the world. I'm the director, the regional director for the Southeast U.S. So I cover every case that comes in from West Virginia to Florida. And recently, I was named director of development, just trying to kind of put everything together a little better, make it run a little more smoothly, and just get our name out there a little more because they are all there to really help people.
Congratulations. That is good.
Thank you.
Director of development sounds very good. So are you noticing in our crazy world, which for whatever reasons is crazy, that more and more stuff is happening? You guys are getting called out more. There's more hauntings or experiences going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, from when I started, very different because nobody talked about it much back then. They would, if they came out and said, "Hey, I think I'm being haunted," they would be afraid somebody's going to lock them up, and
Right.
we'd be locked up even further for trying to help them. So, yeah,
Right.
definitely. But now, yeah, I would say I actually noticed a really big uptick since COVID. When COVID started, I think you had a lot of people that were getting sick. The next
Mhm.
day they're on a ventilator. The next day they passed. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of them don't even know what happened. I don't think they realize. I think a lot of them were stuck here. I've seen a lot more. And the more people get into this, the more it's out there. The more they're playing with things and everything. They kind of everybody's kind of bringing it around a lot more. That's for sure.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. And I've noticed an uptick in it too in my work. And plus, everybody's been so fear based, and fear is going to just in itself lower vibration. What everybody is going to bring in some stuff, and
Yeah.
everybody has watched, every show on Travel Channel, Discovery Plus, so everybody knows what it is. But
Right.
I do think whether I think COVID is part of it, but I do think the veil is thinning between the worlds. I mean, I'm not an astrologer, but as we move into that age of Aquarius, they sang about in the 60s, it's
Right.
not our parents, grandparents' world of black and white and right and round and solid ground. There's no solid ground. Science and spirituality are crashing together, and quantum sciences. Ghost equipment is now proving what I've been seeing in my little mediumistic head forever. It's
Right.
wild times, great
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, there's more people are accepting of it. Before no a lot more people didn't believe. Now they're starting to experience things, see things. I mean, there's a lot that they watch too much or read too much online and then, they think everything's a demon. But
Yeah.
for the most part, they're experiencing a lot more because they're seeing it out there and they're starting to see that it's not, you know, all a lie, which a lot of them thought it was.
Right. So you had a recent show on Travel Channel because we all watch Travel Channel, a shock talk show called The Devil's Academy, right?
Yes.
What
Yes.
was that? Was that about a specific place or
Yeah, it was the newest shock doc they did. It was about a mass possession of a school in Miami in 1970. It's
wow?
it's a really interesting story. Now, there's a lot of there's two sides to it that, people kind of argue about it. Was it really a possession, a mass possession, or was it just all these kids oppressed in this school because it was a military school? They were treating them very bad. They were abusing them, but they were also teaching them Santeria. They were giving them Ouija boards and tarot cards and using hypnosis, and they weren't. Nobody was teaching them the right or wrong on this, just kind of giving it to them. So everything combined kind of made an explosion one day. There,
Wow.
yeah, there are a lot of people that will say, "Oh, it was the kids; they were just oppressed and they acted out." But again, with the signs of things, you can be oppressed and you can go and cause a commotion. But there was one part where a kid jumped out of the second floor window, went right through the glass, landed face first on the parking lot, and got right up. Didn't have a scratch on him. And the security guard went over to see if he was okay, and he picked up the security guard and threw him clear across the parking lot. So I can't say that's oppressed. that's that's definitely, and one when they have a lot of talk about the one girl who was being put under hypnosis that ran in the bathroom. She actually levitated off the ground, and there was like about 5 people there to witness it. So again, those are not really oppression signs.
No,
So
no.
no, but the kids were ripping doors off out off the hinges. It was a mass thing, and the police were there, the fire department was there. It was a big event.
That's wild. I mean, I don't want to give a spoiler alert or anything, but now I want to see it. But what happened? Did somebody come in and they do a cleansing or
It just, they didn't know
just
what was going on. It just kind of, it stopped. It stopped, and then, I don't know how many years later the school wound up closing and having a lot of issues because, the owner was abusive. I believe he was a from Cuba, in the military, and he came here, and yeah, it was a very abusive place. So the
wow.
kids, had a lot of issues to begin with.
Yeah, and I in my experience too, that age kid past puberty and before you're too far into your 20s, you have so much life force. That is when paranormal stuff's going to happen, whether it's
Yes,
poltergeist activity or possessions or stuff. Because I
right.
work with a lot of teens and stuff, and just their life force, I think, causes a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
if they are oppressed by whatever military type training and they're handed Century and a Ouija board, and let's
Right, right. And they believe that the owner was practicing the dark side of Santeria also. So I'm not, not sure about that, but that's what was claimed, and they were teaching them Santeria also.
So that is wild. Okay, everybody, we're gonna have to go watch it. I'll have to bring it to
Yes.
Witch's Movie Coven, maybe to our thing that we do. We do always talk about movies, but maybe we'll have to go there. Um,
It's a great show. It's a great story. They did a really good job on it.
oh, that's awesome. So you work with
Yes.
Paranormal Existence Research Society. So
Yes.
do you go out? Do people call you because like we have things going on in our house in our family,
Yeah.
and you guys go out and try to figure out what it is?
Yeah, we changed things a little bit since once COVID started. We started doing a lot of the initial interviews through Zoom just to get
Mhm.
to know everybody, see what's going on, and see, because sometimes we can help them right there, or send them information on how to cleanse, what to do, how to change their lifestyles and things, and help them and see how it works before going over there. We don't always go right to the house, and it's not always like some of the TVs where you go in with 14 cases of equipment for 10 hours overnight. We want to help them the best we can. So even when I go and I lecture, we talk a lot about this. We do a lot of residential cases, and we tell people, if you want to get into ghost hunting and you want to do that, we're all for it. We encourage everybody, but don't do residentials until you work with somebody who knows what they're doing, because we go in and we don't always deal with a haunting. We deal with mental illness, we deal with addiction, we deal with self manifestation, we deal with a lot of things, and we're very scientific in what we do and how we debunk everything, because we want to help them and give them the best information we can. We teach them how to cleanse, we teach them the right way to change everything, and they have to change themselves, in order to fix what's in there, because it's not just us coming in and just flashing around a piece of sage, and all of a sudden everything goes away.
Right. No, and I've again been doing residential, and it is so much, it's emotional stuff,
Yeah.
it's mental illness. And I do notice, or what I've always noticed, is that if there is addiction problems or mental imbalance, that is when the dark stuff gets in.
Hmm.
You know.
That's what we teach people. We say that we try to encourage people, like when we're talking to them, we tell them up front, we're going to ask you a lot of personal questions. We don't judge. It's all about being honest with us, because just because you tell us, hey, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, doesn't mean we're going to go, okay, you're crazy, and move
Right.
on. Because anybody with a mental illness or an addiction or anything, or even a just bad trauma, they are more susceptible to attacks.
Yeah.
So it's you have to know, and you have to know the difference. So if you go in, that's what I teach people. You go in and you think, oh, this person, they're hearing voices, they're seeing things move, it's got to be a haunting. And then you tell them that they have a ghost in the house, and you didn't know they were schizophrenic, and those voices they're hearing are just in their head. You can seriously damage that person, because your cleansing is not going to help their schizophrenia. And now they're going to
Right.
think it is something evil. So it's kind of a during the day. I am an IT director, so I'm a technology expert, but I work for a psychiatric drug and alcohol treatment facility. So
Wow.
so
That's
I have
beautiful.
yeah, I have 10 years of learning a lot about that too.
That is beautiful. You're about research. You're
Yeah.
about researcher and finding things, improving things. What is the most kind of I probably put you on the spot, amazing thing that you've kind of discovered in doing this work?
You
If there
know,
is something. I know it's
yeah, well, there's a lot. But
I
it's
love that.
it's I tell everybody too, and I say, when you do this, and I'm sure you'll know, the best things are never captured. It's
Yeah.
always seen with your eyes, and you never have the camera ready, or it drains the batteries. Or I've been on a bunch of demonic cases, and the things I've seen there, I will never ever forget in my life. And I don't think any of them were ever captured on film, because they either drained the batteries or something happened. But evidence, to me, the best things are audio. It is
Mm,
very hard to capture stuff on video. People will find that out. Yeah, you might get a shadow here and there and things, but it's very hard to capture a full apparition on camera or anything. And a lot of the devices, I have a ridiculous amount of equipment because I'm IT, but I use about 5% of it when we go into a person's home. We only use very, like, environmental stuff and audio and video. I don't use all the gadgets in a person's home. I like playing around with them, but the problem is I can debunk a lot of them a million different ways. But when you ask a question and you get a response on audio that is clear, not a lot of, sometimes you get a lot of static and a lot of stuff, which could be something, but if I can't make it out, I don't count it as evidence. But I've gotten some responses that are just so unbelievably clear and exactly what we're talking about, that there's no way to debunk that.
wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I should do. I'm not a tech person because I
Mm.
can hardly use my answering machine. So, but I love the tech. I love to have the person along who, again, is being able to show what I'm doing, seeing, smelling, or even hearing. They
Right,
are talking about this. I'm in a different room and they are talking about this. They're capturing it on the recorder. I that just intrigues the heck out of me.
right.
Um, what about, I don't know why I'm being led to. Have you noticed more with stuff with children? Either
Um,
maybe being possessed, but even their gifts getting bigger.
with children, like in residential homes we've done.
Yeah, or in
Yeah.
general. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of cases that involve children in the home, children spirits. We've had a lot of cases, because usually when somebody starts thinking at least they're experiencing something, if they have kids in the home, they call right away. Some other people may wait a while. They may think, I could deal with it. It's nothing important. But if they have kids, they're frightened.
Right.
We've dealt with a lot of kids, and I have experienced in my lifetime with this. I've experienced a lot of kids that definitely had gifts. As we know, kids are more open. A lot of them close up at some point, but they definitely are open, and cause a lot of this stuff. Like when you were just talking before, it's been taught in parapsychology a lot that a lot of paranormal poltergeist activity is caused by kids, teenagers,
Yeah.
especially female teenagers going through puberty, that their energy is so out of control that actually causes things to move around the house. And we have experienced that. I have, at least before I moved here.
Yeah, I have too. So that's what I was saying. It's their life force, whether it's a ghost or not. It's this the kinetic life force. I've and the most craziest, unexplainable things have happened when I've had little groups of the young people.
Yep.
But they also seem that they themselves are getting more intuitive. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think we're kind of born with more intuition and gifts, but it is taught out of us in
Right.
our Western non-mystical, non-magical society where everything is left brain logic to the nth
Right.
degree of, so
Absolutely.
do you have anything coming up that everybody can come see you in? And how can people find you? You are so intriguing. I'm sitting here looking at all your stuff. So if other
Thank you.
people want to find out about you, how are they going to do that?
On my website, it's billslevin.com. My team website is persfl.com. Usually on both of those, I have everything that we're doing, whether it's a speaking event or a public investigation, or even if we're having a private investigation, we'll have it on their calendar. All of my personal stuff is at Slevin Paranormal. I try to keep our calendars up to date on everything. The only thing I have right now, recent, coming up is May 6th. It's a PopCon in Apaka, Florida, and it's a one-day Comic Con. So on my website, you can see the information there, and I'm going to be doing a panel talking about all about ghost hunting and what we do, and actually sharing some evidence that we have and everything. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'll have my booth. I don't just set up with a booth. I have an entire huge display with all my equipment. Everything's very interactive, so people could come and actually see the real equipment and learn about it. And I like to try to educate everybody.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I like education too. Now let's go. I know we have one person in common. We have David Slevin. Not you're the Slevin. David in common, and Robert the doll. I'm a
Yes.
doll person. I've got dolls behind me. I have my one haunted doll bell here. I have never personally met. Yeah, David Sloan. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
Slevin.
So,
Sloan. Speaking is not my strong suit today. I'm blaming it on the eclipse last night. But so you've met Robert. What is your thoughts about haunted dolls and the surge of haunted dolls, and have you experienced some things like that?
yeah, I mean, I've gone into a lot of places where we believed a doll or an object in the house was the one that's taking on the haunting. But Robert is interesting. I've met him many, many times over the years. And, the whole myth behind him, I don't know if you know it, about if you go, you're supposed to be very respectful to him, ask his permission if you take his picture, because if you don't ask his permission, bad things can happen to you. And the place years ago, now it's more digital, but years ago, the whole room with him used to be littered with letters from people, handwritten letters, because they took it as a joke. They didn't ask permission. They took pictures. They left. All kind of things happened to him, and they were writing to Robert for his forgiveness. And there's like thousands and thousands of letters. I think now they have it all digital. But I can tell you, every time I go to a show and I talk about Robert almost at every show, there is
Wow.
always somebody that has an experience from that doll. I tell them this: I've been doing this 35 years. I ask permission. I'm not playing around with that. I've seen some really bad things happen in general, so I'm not going to test out the doll.
Yeah.
You probably can't see it, but back in my case right there, I have a little mini version of Robert.
That's good. Yeah, I have not met Robert. I've not met Annabelle. The most famous doll I have met, other than my Belle, is Peggy the doll that Zach Bagans
Ah,
has in
yes.
his museum now. And I did a seance with her years and
Mm.
years ago before he owned her. And
Right,
Jane owned her and brought her in. And two of the people that she had given heart attacks to made people sick.
right.
And I mean, it was pretty wild. Flies came in, all this. It was
Yeah,
Peggy. And I go there now. Zach owns her, of course. And I go there to his museum and they have a little spirit box by her. It's like I go, same thing, respect, because everybody wants to be respected, dead or living. Like,
right.
hi Peggy, how you doing? And she just curses me out every time. It's like, okay. No, hi Peg. It's pretty funny. So what do you think that is? Do you think that's just spirits are going to I'm a disembodied spirit, so I might as well go into something with a face and ears versus some old candle or something.
I think sometimes, I think it's a tough thing. Some people let them in. Like, if you go back to the whole history of Annabelle, they let her in to using a Ouija board and let her in. But some of them, I don't know. I think they attach, and I think like Robert. I believe, I don't want to misquote David, but I believe he believes there are a lot of different things attached to Robert, not just one. So over the years of everybody coming to see him and all the things going on and all the negativity around him, it's possible it is attracting more. So yeah, I mean, I've encountered some things. I don't know why they like to attach to dolls. Maybe just to freak people out because so many people freaked out by dolls. It doesn't
Right.
bother
Well,
me.
I would. I mean, again, like if I wasn't disembodied, my dog, that is my dog, Willow. She's not a spirit. She's just really loud. I think her boyfriend is outside right now. So this is what we get. Again, if I was a disembodied spirit, of course you wouldn't want to go into something with a face. I mean,
Right.
versus a boss,
Right.
somebody's shaver. No, I would. And that's interesting. I've never thought about multiple spirits. I think a spirit can get created, how we create spirits all the time, getting into egregores or big haunted
Sure.
places. Maybe it's a combination of that. But this haunted doll thing, it cracks me up. I've always been a doll collector, and now it's like you go on
Right.
Etsy, it's like, I don't know if that person really has 72 haunted dolls they're selling,
That's
but
the only problem is eBay. eBay, everybody knows that they could put a doll up there, give a backstory to it, and sell it for 20 times the amount it's probably worth. And then the problem is a lot of people, like we were just talking about, a lot of people believe it and they buy it and then they bring it home and then they manifest something into it. So, I want to go see. I have not been to the museum yet, and I've never seen Pei. I want to go out and see hopefully, and maybe this year I want to get out there.
it's a beautiful museum. It's beautifully curated. He
Mm,
has so much stuff, and you go by room by room by room by room by room
that's
by
what I
room,
heard.
and it's just enough. He's got it worded enough, but enough that it's going to affect you. And
Right.
I saw it before it was a museum, when
Mm,
before he got the permission to own it, and I fall in love with it every time. I'd worked there so much filming, but never did the tour. I was just always locked in someplace. And the first time I did the tour, I was so impressed. Like, oh, this is so much more than the table I've been locked under.
right. Right. Right.
So, all right. I don't know what to say about this little baby upstairs. I think it's because Vinny is outside and that's her little
Mm.
boyfriend. But tell people again where they could get you when they're coming up, your social media, follow you on Facebook,
Sure.
Instagram, stuff like that.
Yeah, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm starting YouTube. It's already up there, but I'm starting it in the next month or two. Everything is at Slevin Paranormal. The website is billslevin.com, and my team site is persfl.com. And if anybody if they have questions, I'm always around to answer questions. If they're concerned that they may have something in their home and they want us to check it out, there's a form right on there to request an investigation. We'll get back to you and help you as quick as we can. And we stay with everybody, until we solve the problem, whether it is paranormal or not. We try to get them as much help as we possibly can. And I have a lot of different people on my team. My team is very handpicked by me. It's not about how much experience you have over the years. It's more about your passion, your compassion for people and to help people. I mean, I have people on my team that are psychics, that are mediums. Well, I just brought on somebody who's a licensed psychologist. That's what she does for a living, which helps us. Um, Everything we can do to help the person, we help them. I mean, I still talk to clients that we have cases from years ago. We just check on them, see how they're doing, and that was always my main goal, was to help people. As much as I love going out in the public and doing everything and teaching people and whatever, we really do it to help people. Same thing with the Warrens. We do everything there to give people help.
That is amazing. Well, I cannot thank you enough. I'm excited. I'm going to have you come back and tell us more stories. But everybody,
Anytime.
check out Bill Slevin. And thank you for bringing your magic to the witching hour.
Thank you so much for having me.